All right, Garrett Johnston here with Carlos Ortiz. And Carlos, when I think about life, how do you balance everything? You got four little girls at home. Like, how are you making this happen?
I'm trying my best. It's awesome. I do have good motivation, but it's also a good motivation to work hard and go home.
Yeah. Well, what is the most rewarding part about being at home with them? I think about as a girl dad, like, quality time is so important. But for you, like, what really resonates for you?
For me, it's honestly paying attention to them and see how they grow. It's crazy how much they change. How kids are amazing. They can teach you so much to adults. They're really good at being happy and then being sad in 2 seconds. And not holding to bad emotions and just enjoying them. Obviously, any kid is fun to be around, but when they're kids, it's awesome. Me taking them to school and spending time in the pool, that's everything for me. So when I'm out here on the golf course, that's the motivation. I know that I always have that to go to, and this actually seems quite not even important.
Yeah. Well, you said they're always teaching you something. Like, what's a good example of that with your girls?
What I said, the way they go about life, they just want to be happy and have fun. That's all they care about, and they find a way to do that. You can take them out anywhere, and they find a way to have fun and play around. And I feel like a lot of us sometimes get caught up in negative stuff when kids are just trying to find a way to be happy, and I feel like we can learn a lot from that.
Well, especially a short memory too. You know what I mean? Especially out here with golf,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. I think it's exactly what you have to be paying attention. Kids can teach you so much these days.
Well, I think about as we look at your schedule now, you got the U.S. Open at Oakmont coming up. I'm curious, what is it about the rough when it gets that thick? Like, what's the right mindset going in to approach that? You know what I mean? To practice for it when you're on for the practice days.
Honestly, just make sure you hit it in the fairway. Rough is brutal, and there's not really much you can do other than taking your medicine some of those times. Just try to hit it on the fairway. You know that getting into an Open, US Open, but honestly, I just try to focus these days where I want to be, and if you're in those positions, you'll figure it out.
Is there anything, well, if at some point you're going to be out of position, is there anything with you and your caddy on those practice days you can do around the greens to know, okay, from this kind of lie, it'll react like this? Are there little kind of details like that can help?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you work on that the practice days and make sure you know how the ball is reacting, but some of those lies are unpredictable and you try to do your best. What you always try to do is get back in position when you're out of position. So a lot of the times it's just taking your medicine and getting back into play after being out of position.
When you warm up for a major championship like the U.S. Open, if you get a little bit of wind, like what's the right attitude to have? Like how do you shape shots differently when you're on the range, or like how do you approach that?
Honestly, I treat it as any other event. I do my best. I mean, we all know how to play any kind of wind, any kind of rough, any kind of shot. So it's just another week. You just try to actually save a little more energy than normal. Some of the mistakes I've done in the past is over practicing, and now I've learned that it's better to have a fresh mind and then maybe have a little bit extra practice.
How long, when you say shorten your practice a little bit, how long is your range warm up when you get ready out there?
Honestly, by then you don't really have to change much. You already have the game you have. I try to warm up, maybe work a little bit if I have anything in the swing going on, but other than that, it's warm up and play 9 holes, chip and putt, and call it a day. Before, maybe I will play 18 holes twice in a week. Now I'll probably focus and play 9 Tuesday, 9 on Wednesday, and make sure I really take a good look at the golf course.
Speaking of a good golf course, Portrush for the Open Championship, a lot of excitement there. What do you make of that course, and how will you kind of prepare for it on the range there? Like, do you think about certain shots when you're on the range for that, or?
Honestly, I actually went and played the Open qualifier last year, and just playing those kind of golf courses, you learn a lot. It's a different golf. You definitely have to learn how to hit shots a little bit different, like running it into the green and really knowing that maybe you're going to play 9 holes left to right, 9 holes right to left, and that's just how it is, and you have to just find a way to get the ball in play. I think the Open, especially when it plays hard condition, it doesn't really matter how it looks, just make sure you get the ball in play.
When you're on the range getting ready in the wind for an Open, do you end up abbreviating your shot a little bit? You know what I mean? Like, are there certain small tweaks you can make, Carlos, for your swing that help?
Honestly, it's just hitting that low ball and getting used to the turf, because honestly that turf is much firmer than we're used to here in the US and the rest of the world. They can get quite firm, so you definitely have to get used to that and hitting low shots with a firm turf.
Will you end up taking less club sometimes, just keep it lower like that? You know, like
Yeah,
a 5 instead of a 7? Or?
yeah, you do that a lot of times, even here when you play into the wind. There is just it's just more noticeable because you can get really brutal conditions and there's not really any trees or anything. So you definitely want to find the ball. We get the ball and find the low grass every time. So you definitely, I think, feel like you end up playing a lot of knockdown shots. But that's just what the golf course plays for, calls for.
The last two things I wanted to say, the total length of time that you spend on the range warming up, is it in the 30 minutes, 35 minutes, or what does it look like?
It depends on weather conditions. If it's nice weather, I can spend on 45 minutes an hour. If it's bad weather or it's way too hot, I probably spend 30, 20 minutes.
And what do you want to accomplish the most? Is it certain feels you want to get to, a certain spot you're swinging?
Mostly warming up and make sure the ball is moving the way I want, or sometimes just finding out the way the ball is moving. Sometimes just the ball is flying a certain way, and then you get in your range session and you find that out, and you also kind of calibrate your distances, see how your full shots, how far they're going, and then you go from there.
Carlos, always appreciate the time and good luck this week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy.